Before we start, let's offer our Mangalacharan prayers and then we can start. For those who want to follow, it's on page 1. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo Nasti Papatma Naparadhi Chakaschana Parihare Pilajjame Kim Bhruve Purushottama Bhumau Skalitapadanam Bhumireva Valambanam Tvai Jata Paradhanam Tvameva Sharanam Prabho Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Tvadiyam iti janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radha Radhita Radhesha Radhika Prana Vallabha Radha Ramana Vande Tvam Radhika Prema Nirjita. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming. We have 2 more classes to go before we have the exam on the March of 15th, 2015. Any comments, any questions? Because we have a little bit of luxury of time today. We have a completely useless speaker giving the Sunday feast lecture, so it's fine. That's me, by the way, those who are online. Or those who are not familiar. Any questions, any comments? Everybody doing okay? Study-wise, exam-wise, Hare Krishna Shveka. Everything okay? So let's do that. Let's start. So we'll start with our regular fashion. Today I request that Shveka be the first person to read the translation after we do, and then we can go from like this. 7th. Chapter 7, on page 321. Kindly repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktah Mana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tat Shrunu.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga and full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full free from doubt."
Thank you. Let's read a purport a little bit and then we can get into it. Purport: in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of absolute truth because it's partial. So, coming to the point, in the can Mataji get a Bhagavad Gita also too? We can just give it to her. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So in the first 6 chapters, Krishna gave different forms of yoga, and at the end of the 6th chapter, he said, "Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukto tamo mataha." He said that of all the yogis, those who abide in me and those who serve me with faith, they are the highest of all, and that's my opinion. But really, who is Krishna? What about him that is so important that we have to serve him with full consciousness of him? So in the 7th chapter, the Lord says, Maya Shaktaha Manapartha. So if you want to be attached to me, then let me tell you more about myself. So that when you listen to me about myself, then you will be more attached, then you'll know me in truth. Then you'll say, why should I be even? What is so special about Krishna that probably is not there in some ordinary person that I should be actually attracted to Krishna? Who is he in the first place? So Krishna says, I'll tell you more about myself. In these chapters, Krishna has mentioned, but very briefly, up to the point, only to clarify certain doubts of Arjuna. Or here and there, he just put in a little bit words. He didn't talk too much about himself. But when it comes to Bhakti Yoga, there is the Atma and then there is Bhagavan, and what is the connection between them? So that has to be tied up properly. We know who Atma is. At length we dealt who is Atma and how the Atma is there in the material world, how the reactions of material world come, and so on and so forth. But the next step, when Krishna says, by worshipping me with faith, you are the highest yogi, then you should know who is Krishna. And then Krishna says, I'll explain to you more about myself. This chapter is not about pure devotion. The first 6 chapters of Gita, they are mainly about karma yoga. There is a little bit of jnana, but mainly about karma yoga. The last 6 chapters are exclusively jnana yoga. It's like in-depth Krishna goes on. Who is Kshetra, who is Kshetrajna, and stuff like that. But in the 6th middle chapters, Krishna talks about bhakti. But in the 7th chapter, the bhakti is not pure. He doesn't talk about pure bhakti. He talks about mixed bhakti. A little bit he talks in the 8th chapter. The word ananya or highest bhakti, bhakti to mean nothing, those kinds of words actually form the pure devotional service. So in Bhagavad Gita, pure devotional service is mentioned, but in a very seed form. Krishna doesn't give the highest. In those who have attended the Nectar of Devotion semester, we have learnt the definition of pure devotional service, which we also will touch upon in this chapter. But we are slowly progressing now. Okay, bhakti is, amongst all the yogis, bhakti yoga is highest. But in bhakti yoga, are there varieties? Are there differences? Or any bhakti yogi is the same. So we will get to know those finer intricacies of devotional service to Krishna. Prabhupada writes in this purport in the first verse, he quotes the famous verses from Srimad Bhagavatam where it said, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. The best way to actually know about Krishna is to hear about him. And in Bhagavatam we get abundant opportunities and material about Krishna to listen about him. Text 2. Because text 1, the Lord says, Tat Shrunu. So, Maya Shaktaha Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Asamshayam Samagramam Yatagnyasasi Tat Shrunu. Tat Shrunu means just listen. And in there, the Lord is giving the best way of practicing bhakti, at least the first step of practicing bhakti is to listen. Just listen to what I have to say. And that is also effective when Krishna describes about himself, or a pure devotee who has no adulterated goal in life describes about Krishna, it's the same effect. Srila Prabhupada, he writes in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, somehow we didn't read that, but in the introduction he writes that if there is any credit I take in the spreading of this Krishna consciousness movement, it is this. I have not tried to add or subtract anything to what was given by our previous acharyas. Whatever they gave, I am just giving it. So, because they give exactly whatever is spoken by Krishna in the previous acharyas, when the pure devotees say about Krishna, that is equally effective. Otherwise, it gets tainted. And in fact, it is mentioned that how one tries to avoid the discourses or lectures given by those who are not in this path, because there can be confusion and havoc in one's spiritual life if the speaker is not completely dedicated and pure in their motives in spreading. Text 2. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamyaseshataha yajñatva neha bhuyonyaj jnatavyam avishishyate.
I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know.
So here, phenomenal and numinous is, phenomenal means this earth, this manifestation which we see, the earth, the stars, the sun. This is all like the material manifestation of the Lord. And numinous is that Krishna who is spiritual. So the Lord says, I'll try to describe to you both, material and the spiritual. Because in the path of other yoga systems, there is a fine distinction or a strong distinction between material and spiritual. But there is no clear conception of who created matter and why it's being created. But Krishna here says, I'll tell you what's matter, I'll tell you what's spirit, and I'll tell you who's behind both. Because that way the knowledge will get complete. Text 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha.
Out of many thousands among men, one may endure for the perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth.
Thank you. So, what here Krishna means by perfection? It seems a little counterintuitive, right? The word perfection. Because if one has achieved perfection, then why is it that one should know? Or one should know Krishna in truth? Is it a little counterintuitive? So the people who are perfect are not really perfect then. Because they are lacking something according to Krishna's. In fact, they are lacking big time. Because he says among thousands of people who just live in this world, hardly anybody tries for perfection. And among thousands of people who have achieved perfection, hardly anybody knows me in truth. So what sort of perfection is Krishna talking here? The perfection Krishna is talking is through other processes of yoga. For example, siddhis. One of the byproducts of dhyana yoga is you get siddhis, or like these powers. The powers actually to make something lighter than the lightest, so something heavier than make yourself heavier than the heaviest. So there are many other powers. That's one form of siddhi. The other form of siddhi is Brahman realization, completely beyond the material modes, but not yet knowing about Krishna. So Krishna says, you can be achieving perfection by being beyond the modes of nature, but do you know me? If you don't know me, then hardly you have achieved perfection. That so-called perfection may not be the perfect perfection. Because Krishna is the perfect perfection. To know about Krishna, then he says, that is really something. Because you don't know me, and I'll tell you. And because the reason why is Krishna has to tell, or Krishna has to reveal himself, otherwise nobody will know him, which in the 25th verse of the same chapter we will come across. Text 4. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies.
So here Krishna first, he says, I'll tell you about phenomenal, I'll tell you about numinous. So he's first talking about phenomenal. Phenomenal is something related to this material world. Numinous is something related to spirit, beyond this material world. So Shveka, what is numinous? Spirit, good. So this mic, is it numinous or spiritual? Numinous or phenomenal? Phenomenal, thanks. But actually, here is the deal. The same phenomenal thing used in service of Krishna becomes numinous. But actually, you don't have to get into those right now, at least to start with. Let's keep it separate. This is matter and this is spirit, and who is behind both? Hare Krishna. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, it's a beautiful purport. Please read it. Because the Lord creates this material world. It's one of the important topics. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 subject matters they are discussed. It is said, Atra sarga visargocha sthanam poshana mutthaya manvantareshanu khata nirodha muktirashraya. So sarga means creation. Who has created it? Just think about it. If there is no person behind this creation, why are there rules in creation? If there is a traffic light system in the city, which means that somebody designed the traffic lights, yes or yes? The traffic lights didn't come on their own, neither are there no rules governing them. There are rules governing the traffic light system, and one needs to know them. So similarly, in this material world also, we see that there are certain rules. The earth is at a certain distance from sun, revolving around the sun, but at a very precise distance, at a very precise angle. It's not happening by random. Then because of which the seasonal changes are very, very in the correct order. We are not getting anything by random. When we talk of the rules behind creation, there should be somebody who's created those rules. It's a simple logic. Whether you attribute that rules to some higher power, the universe, you have to acknowledge it. There is no way around it. Some people might say that it is my God, some people might say your God, but the point of the matter is there is some person or there is some phenomena, energy. You can name anything you want to, but Krishna says it's me. I am the person who's there. But whether you acknowledge it like that or in any other form, you have to acknowledge. And please understand that if Krishna did not create this, actually Bhagavatam describes at length about how he created all these ingredients and they were not gelling together. They were not being cohesive together. Just think about it. Does your body have water or liquids? Does your body have earth? Means gross things. Does your body have air? Does your body have fire in it? Does your body require some space? Inside, is there some space? Of course there is some space, because if there is no space, how will your lungs be? They'll just collapse. So there is everything in your body. But see how harmoniously it's working. Are you controlling your body's water, earth, fire levels? One day morning you get a program and say, okay, today, my earth level should be this much, my water level should be this. No, it's just running by nature. Who's running it? And how beautifully they are working. There's nothing by random. Not one day you get up in the morning and you see your body is on fire because there is excess fire in your body. Or next day it's all full water only. There is no earth. The third day morning you get up, you are made of air. You are floating in the space. You can't even sit in the car properly because you are floating. Everything works so harmoniously. How does it work? Who's making it work? That's Krishna. Krishna says that because he created the matter, he created the demigods. He said, okay, now work. Nothing would combine, nothing would gel together, nothing would be together. And they were like confused. They said, Lord, what should we do? So Krishna, he entered into those matter as the form of time and as the super soul, and then that started combining together. Otherwise, it wouldn't. Just think about it. If a few weeks ago, my daughter, she liked those small magnet balls. I don't know if you know about those. They just get together and they combine. And we got a whole bunch of them, and you can make any shape out of it. And then, you make a shape, it'll stay. But that same magnet ball, you can turn it into any shape. So basically, this whole material world is just a combination of atoms. But the question remains is, who is holding the atoms together? Am I holding my own atoms together? I doubt it. Because science says the cells in your body, they change every 7 years. Every 7 years, not one cell that was there in your body 7 years ago is still remaining. Medical science has accepted it. So who is it that's changing it? And who decided 7 years? Why do we take 7 years? Why not in 2 years? You can't even control that. So there are so many things beyond our control which makes us wonder who is controlling it. That's Krishna. He says, I am the one who's controlling it. I created it, I control it. Because the matter, Krishna talks about it further, because that matter is inert, the jivas or the conditioned souls can control that matter, change that matter, twist that matter, and think that they are the controllers of matter. But actual control is done by Krishna. And he'll tell you in future as we go ahead. So, text 5. Everybody there? Page 3 to 8. Ready? Okay. Apareyamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat.
Beside these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature.
So here Krishna first talks about matter, 8 varieties of material elements. What are those 8 material elements? Earth, and false ego. False ego, not ego. The reason being, the ego always exists. The I, as we discussed in the second chapter, we always exist. Krishna himself says, you exist, whether you like it or not. What does he say? Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam nemeja. He says, never, O Arjuna, was a time where I or you or these kings did not exist, and never in future shall we cease to be. So I exist. But the false ego makes you think, I am the controller and the enjoyer. This is mine. Strictly speaking, everything belongs to Krishna. But he also has to add in the extra ingredient of false ego to make you think it belongs to you. Otherwise, you get the feeling everything belongs to Krishna. Suppose, you enter into a prison and then, unfortunately, in India, if there is a very famous person or a politician who goes into prison, which is quite a lot these days, but they go into prison, they get their own room, they get their own thing, they get their own facilities. So it's like you are in the prison, but you get this illusion that this is mine. Unless the person who is in the prison says, okay, this is your room, unless he says that facility, unless he gives that facility, you won't even believe that it's yours. Yes or yes? So otherwise you will think, this is not mine. Okay, this is yours. So Krishna's energy, the false ego, also makes you think, okay, this is mine. Though one is trapped in the material world, still that me, I, mine, my country, my nation, my family, my body, my community, my office, that word my is nothing but from Krishna. Because if it was factually yours, you should keep it forever. That doesn't happen. That my kind of goes away in a fraction of a second. When you leave the body, all the my is destroyed. Right? So that false ego is important. It's not ego, it's false ego. If it comes in exam, please don't write ego. It's false ego. Because ego exists. Ego exists. You can never, it's just the false ego that's the problem. Text 6. Etadyonini bhutani sarvani tyupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhavaha pralayastata.
All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So here Krishna says two types of matter. One is the material and the second one is spiritual, or the jivas, or the living entities. So in Nectar of Instruction, we learned that the Lord has three energies. What are those? Awesome. Thank you, Gaurav. So he talked about external energy, where he says, Bhumi Rapo Anala Vayu. That's my external energy. And he says Bhinna. Bhinna means it's a little different from me. Though I am the source, he says right now, I am the source of both, but it is a little different. Bhinna Prakriti. And here he says, of all that is material and of all that is spiritual, who is the source and the dissolution and the creation? It's I. Krishna says it's me. So from me everything comes, both material and spiritual. Now that might be an interesting thing, because if we come from Krishna, we go back into Krishna, where is our own identity? We are just another energy of Krishna, right? He says, from me you come, means I go back to him. It's a simple logic. But where is it that we The answer to that is that the material and the spiritual beings, we are the spiritual beings, and matter, they wind up into the body of Lord Vishnu at the time of devastation, but the individuality is not lost. We still are our own separate we are our separate identities. Jivatmas, we're still there. The reason is, if we go back to Vishnu, then why are we coming back? Just going and coming back, what's the purpose? No, we are our own separate identity. At the end of Brahma's life, when there is complete devastation, so Krishna talks about devastation here. So there are, we'll discuss more in the 8th chapter, but briefly, there are 3 or possibly 4 types of devastations that happen. So Brahma, he lives for 100 years. And each day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus who come and go. So each Manu has 71 cycles of Divya Yugas. Let me clarify that. So you can say, just like our day is divided into hours, so Brahma's day is also divided according to Manus. Like our work day is divided. So your boss comes and says, you are working on 5 projects. Then your boss says, morning 2 hours work on this project, evening 2 hours work on this, middle 2 hours you work on this. And then probably, that goes on like that. So Brahma's time is also divided into 14 Manus. And Manus are progenitors of mankind. They come, they help establish the rules for man. And after every 71 Divya Yugas, they wind up and their duty is done, and fresh set of Manus will come, fresh set of demigods will come. Indra, they change. In one day of Brahma, these are all posts. Like every 4 years, is there an election or not? Is there a new president in the office or not? So similarly, every 14, in one day of Brahma, 14 Manus come. And so all these posts are created, they are filled, and then they are done. They go on like that. So there is partial devastation at the end of Brahma's day. When Brahma goes to sleep, there is a devastation. That is partial. At the end of each Manu, sometimes there is a devastation, sometimes there is not. Even that's very partial. And at the end of Brahma's life, there is complete devastation. Means that the whole material world is totally destroyed. There will be no trace of material world. There is no space. Because in spiritual world, there is no concept of space. That we are occupying this much space, God has to create this space so that we can occupy. In spiritual world, there is no concept of space, no concept of time. The gross matter needs that. So when the creation begins, the Lord says, okay, let us select some corner and I'll create this material world. Like the government says, okay, I need to create a new prison. Okay, let's select some desolate area and start constructing a new prison. So the Lord, at the end of, when the Brahma's life cycle begins, the Lord has to create, say some part of the universe. Okay, this is one part of the universe, let me create the material world there. So he has to create all those ingredients. So Krishna, again and again it goes on. Again and again the material world is created, again and again it's destroyed. And so one day of Brahma is how many years according to human cycle? Just a guess, simple guess. It's 10,000 years? Actually, Brahma is much more. Let's look it up. Let's get the exact number so that we get an idea when we go to 8th chapter, what are we talking about. All right. Okay, page 383. Let's get a brief idea and then. Page 383. Quickly, we'll digress and come back. Everybody there? We'll read the purport just to get an idea. Ready? The duration of the material universe is limited. It's manifested in cycles of kalpa. A kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or ages, Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice, and the yuga lasts 1,728,000 years. In Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and this yuga lasts 1,296,000 years.
In the Dwapar Yuga, there is even a greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this Yuga lasts 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga, the Yuga we have now been experiencing over the past 5,000 years, there is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice, true virtue being practically non-existent, and this Yuga lasts 432,000 years. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at the termination of the Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Kalki Avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas, rotating at 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma, and the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years by earth calculation equal to 311 trillion and 40 billion earth years. Wow. Does anybody want to be Brahma? No? Wow. I'm impressed. And not only you get this long life, you'll never fall sick. You have your own planet. You have such power. You think that now you are powerful being a CEO or a VP, begging people to work for you. There Brahma has to give orders and things will flow. But here is the catch. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, when the time is described, it's described how it goes on and on. The demigods, they have a lifespan. One day in the life of demigods equal to 6 months on earth. On and on it describes about the different stages of time. And then Brahma's life is described. 311 trillion, how many, 20 billion, however, you can't even remember the number. Wow. Then comes the anticlimax. It happens in one inhalation of Vishnu. 311 trillion years passed. That is Lord Vishnu's breath. Anyways, sorry, I just digressed to get you that, because of the dissolution that happens, we need to know how many dissolution and things like that. We'll get in depth when we read the 8th chapter. Text 7. Mattaha parataram nanya kinchidasti dhananjaya Mai sarvamidam protam sutre maniganaiva.
O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread.
So here the Lord says that because I pervade everything, there is nothing that can exist without me. If you see something, the ultimate truth within that something is Krishna. That is the absolute truth. So without Him, there is nothing that is going to kind of be existing, both matter and spirit. And He gives a little more examples of how He pervades in everything. Text 8. Rasoham apsu kaunteya Prabhashmi shashi suryayoho Pranavah sarva vedeshu Shabdake paurusham rishu.
O son of Kunti, I am the test of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in the ether and ability in man.
Thank you, Mataji. Text 9. Punyo gandha pritivyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavasau jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapas chasmi tapasvishu.
I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all the lives, and I am the penance of all ascetics.
Thank you. Text 10.
Bijam mam sarva bhutanam Viddhi partha sanatanam Buddhir buddhimatam asmi Tejas tejasvinamaham.
O son of Pratha, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men.
Thank you. So here Krishna gives certain examples of how he pervades. One thing is, I am the taste of water. So when we drink water, we can experience Krishna. The point is this, Srila Prabhupada makes an interesting comment in the purport. For the impersonalist, because they cannot perceive the personal form of Krishna, they'll say, oh, the taste of Krishna, the taste of water is God or is Brahman. Unfortunately, they extend it to all untouchable things also, saying it's Brahman. But the point of the matter is, they say that because they can't visualize or want to ascribe personal qualities to Krishna, they say the taste of water is Brahman. But whereas the devotee says, thank you Krishna for giving me water. Just like a person, if he gives or she gives you water, you thank that person, not saying that somehow you exist in this water. So there is a personal touch as we go ahead. The reason why Krishna says about his all-pervading nature is because we are leaving the discussion from the 6th chapter where we have read about Krishna as Paramatma. He's still there in more Paramatma, all of the three forms we are being talked here. In the where did we read that? Vishnu's Trini Rupani. Okay, here it is. The reason there is a clarification that is needed is who is talking here. If God is pervading everywhere, then who is talking? Is that Krishna? Is it Super Soul? What is it? So let's turn to page 326 because that's one point we just needed. We'll clear it and then we can go back. Page 326, let's discuss that particular verse in the purport. Kindly repeat after me. Vishnostu trini rupani Purushakhyani atho viduhu Ekam tu mahata shrashtar Dvitiyam tvanda samstitam Tritiyam sarva bhutastam Tani jnatva vimuchyate. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy, known as Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into all universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading Super Soul in all the universes and is also known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. The point here is that the Lord is speaking as a super soul, but he is still a person. Therefore he says I. It's not some energy, my energy, or some impersonal. No, this is me that is pervading everywhere. So in the super soul, the Lord is both personal, at the same time he is diffused. In Brahman, the Lord is completely impersonal. What is the shape of Brahman? No shape. What is the color of Brahman? No color. What is the form of Brahman? No color. What is the smell? Nothing. The Lord is just, but Lord is diffused as light, formless, shapeless, infinite. But when it comes to Super Soul, the Lord's Paramatma feature comes, but it is still diffused all over. Because the Lord pervades this material world doesn't mean he loses his identity. He's still that same personality. That's why it is said I. Otherwise, why would Krishna say I? Questions? Comments? Just so, it's okay if we can't get everything at the first pass, that's fine. All right. Let's go to which verse we are on? 12? Yes. Sushil Prabhu.
So of these three Vishnus that have been mentioned over here, Mahatattva, Garbhodakshai and Kshirodakshai Vishnus, the one that we know is Paramatma, is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So
the last.
Is that the technical name of Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu?
So if you say which Vishnu of the three Vishnus is Paramatma, then you say Kshirodakshai Vishnu. But in general, who is the creator, maintainer, who is the creator, maintainer of the world? Vishnu. That's it. Vishnu includes the category of all these Vishnus. And all these Vishnus, they come from Krishna. More questions? Okay. Text 12 on page 335.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Kathleen. Please accept my humble obeisances. I have to ask you a question because I am using the soft copy of the Bhagavad Gita. When you were talking about the... Hold on. Sorry, I had speaker on. When you were talking about the how many years it took for one day of Brahma, you said it was on page 383. Could you please tell me what text number that is?
That is chapter 8 and text number 17.
817. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Charlene. Please accept my humble obeisances. Text 12.
11.
11. Oh, we didn't read? Okay. We'll read that. And those who want to read, those who are online and they want to read the translation, please let us know in advance so that we can call your name. Text 11. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha.
I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas.
So here, the Lord says that when we can use everything in service of Krishna, including having a child who can be a devotee of Krishna. So that's not against the religious principles. So that itself, Krishna says, I am that. But when people can misuse that, then there will be a problem. Text 12. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasas tamasaschaye matta eveti tan vidhi natvamaham teshu te mai.
Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me.
So here, when Krishna says, I have spread everywhere in this material world, doubt might come. So if God has come here, spread everywhere, maybe he is also under the control of material nature. Because he is so in here, deeply into it, then right? But here he says, nope, that's not true. Because the modes of nature are controlled by me, and I have entered into this material world, but still I am beyond it. So there are many ways you can explain that, but just the fact is that the Lord can enter at the same time. He's above it. I can give an example. Did anybody see like a magic show sometime in your life, either on TV or somewhere? So the magician, the audience is under the spell of magician's tricks. Yes or yes? Yes. Is the magician also spell under his own trick? Wow, how did I do that? No, he knows what exactly is happening. So he won't fall under the spell of his own illusion. Why would God, who's perfect, who's supreme, and who's independent in all respects, fall under the trap of his own illusion? Or it's like the President of the United States going to a prison and saying, wow, look at this prison, this is so beautiful, I want to stay here, or yet forget about himself. Why would people... The reason I bring up this point is this theory that God, when he comes to the earth, become conditioned like you and me, is the greatest, most misleading and most dangerous interpretation, because Krishna never supports that, and logic doesn't support that. It's like, oh, God is formless. God can never have form. But he's come to this world. He's shown his form. Oh yeah, he come to this world, everybody comes to this world, they have to take a form. So he's also taken a form. That sort of argument is misleading. Krishna himself says that I'm never under the modes of material nature. I control them. So how is it that God can have a form like you and me, or he's forced to take a form like you and me when he comes to this world? It's completely illogical, not supported by any logic, not supported by Krishna himself. Trivir is clear, so clear here. Questions? Okay. Next, text 13. Yes.
Prabhuji, what I understand that every universe has own Brahma. So Brahma is the post, and as described over here, the life of the Brahma. So for each universe, if there is a separate Brahma, then that same lifespan applies to all the Brahmas, or how is it?
So each universe has its own destruction cycle going on. It's not necessarily happens at the same time, most of the time. But the final devastation, it happens at the same time. Otherwise, it's a little relative. It's not exactly on every second, that very second that all the Brahmas get destroyed. There will be slight variations here and there. But for the final devastation, goodbye. There is no material world, so to speak. What will Brahma do? There is no question of Brahma, because there is no matter at all. Everything is just gone. Yes, does that a little bit answer your question? Okay.
Just to segue into the similar question.
You have to use the mic, my apologies. And then we have more than one, so probably one back, one front. Okay.
To segue into that question, and maybe this is stemming from what I saw in an animation, that in one of the animation which on Little Krishna, they showed that there are many Brahmas who appear, and each Brahma has a different form. Like some Brahma has only one face, others have 2, 3, or multiple. And I remember that it is saying that all Brahmas are different in their strength. So is that somewhere written in our Shastras that that's really the case, or is that again a creative liberty taken?
The creative liberty is taken by the makers of Little Krishna, because I have a daughter who was young and I saw that particular episode where all the Brahmas fly in. As far as I remember, it's been a while, all the Brahmas had 4 heads. And they just came on the swans. It's easy to animate if you have 4 heads. Imagine trying to do animation with 1 million heads. 1 million is even too much. Try even with 100 heads or 10 heads. Animation you can't even visualize how to do it. Brahma will be like small body and then bunch of grapes on the top. It's like a bunch of grapes inverted upside down. You can't even fathom how to do it. But to your question, is the mention of multiple Brahmas anywhere in Shastra or? Yes.
That's pretty much the question, yes.
Yes, it's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can look it up. So the story goes is that once four-headed Brahma, he goes to Krishna to meet Krishna in Dwarka, and then he tells the doorkeeper, he goes there, he tells the doorkeeper, tell Krishna that Brahma is here. And then doorkeeper says, okay, I'll tell him. And then after some time the doorkeeper comes back and Krishna says, which Brahma? Brahma is completely confused. What do you mean, which Brahma? There is only one Brahma, no duplicates, no clones. And he says, okay, one Brahma, I'm my Brahma, four-headed Brahma. Oh, okay, he goes inside. And then after some time the doorkeeper comes back. He says, yeah, the Lord will see you now, please come inside. And the Brahma goes. And then the Lord says, okay, Brahma, what is it that you wanted to see me about? Okay, I'll tell you why I came, but first answer this question. Please answer this question, Lord. Why did you say which Brahma? Is there any other Brahma besides me? And then the Lord closes his mind and then calls all the other Brahmas. So, and then the Brahmas start coming in. Some Brahma has 10 heads, other Brahma has 100 heads, some other Brahma has 1,000 heads, some other Brahma has 100,000 heads, million heads. And when he sees all these Brahmas coming in, our four-headed Brahma thinks, I am a mosquito amongst elephants. And he is completely confused. And then Lord Krishna says to Brahma, you have a small universe to maintain. And for you, 4 heads are good enough. And there are universes which are so big, so inconceivable, that it requires hundreds of heads to maintain. And so then all the Brahmas who come, they bow down to the Lord, they say, yes, Lord, why did you call us? He said, no, I just wanted to see you all, now you can go back. And so the point is, yeah, it's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can look it up. Yes, Shweka.
Does that mean the little Krishna story is fake?
No, it's just they took some liberties. Not all Brahmas have 4 heads. Yeah. So it's not fake, but not necessarily all Brahmas have 4 heads. It's shown as every Brahma is having 4 heads. 4 heads, not forehead. 4 heads.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, it's there. It's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please ask my brother, I'm Aditya.
Hare Krishna, Aditya Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I had a question.
Yes.
In the second chapter, in the second text, the Jnanam and Vijnanam, they are translated as phenomenal knowledge and luminous, whereas then it would be generally translated as Jnanam as theoretical knowledge and Vijnanam.
Aditya, I'm so sorry, but I must interrupt you because your voice is very low. I can barely hear it. So if you can raise your voice a little louder, and then we will be able to understand your question.
Are you able to hear me now?
Little bit more louder voice.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, this is a little better.
Okay. Okay. So in the second text, Jnanam is translated as phenomenal knowledge, whereas Vijnanam is translated as luminous knowledge. But whereas otherwise it would be translated as Jnanam as theoretical knowledge and Vijnanam as practical. So could you please explain the context? Why is it translated in that way?
Jnanam teham so vijnanam. I see. The question, did everybody get the question? Yes. No? Okay, I'll repeat the question. So, in general, jnana means knowledge, and Vijnanam means realized knowledge. And Aditya's question is that why Srila Prabhupada translated Jnanam means knowledge of matter and Vijnanam means the knowledge of spirit. So the answer to that question is that matter or Jnanam is not enough and we need Vijnanam or spiritual knowledge, and this spiritual knowledge is related to Krishna. Because Krishna, and by knowing Krishna, yes?
Prabhuji, can you please ask somebody to say something on the food so that we can check the volume?
Aditya, can you please repeat the Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
Hare Krishna?
Please repeat the Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Aditya. We were checking the volume, so I was asked by our temple commander to make sure that the volume is coming correctly, and that's the reason I asked you to chant the Mahamantra. There is nothing to do with the answer I was about to give.
Okay, really?
Yeah, in case you are completely confused, why is this person asking me in answer? But the point is, it's not bad. For every question, you can get the answer in Mahamantra also. So it's so here, numinous means Krishna is telling knowledge about himself. So the knowledge about Krishna, when it's realized through devotion, is realized knowledge. There are at times where Vijnanam is also translated as realized knowledge. Purely, what do you mean realized knowledge? That knowledge of soul in connection with Krishna is realized knowledge. Makes sense?
Yes, Ruji.
We can, I think you are not convinced, we can take it offline if you want more details.
Okay, Ruji.
Okay. Are you now in which part of this country or world or universe are you in now?
I'm in Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin, okay. Yes, just hang for a few more months till sun will come.
Okay.
Or maybe you can come here. Either way, there are 2 or 3 options you have. In any case. Thank you, Aditya, for checking in.
Thank you so much, Ravi.
All right. Text 14. The famous verse. Daivihesha gunamayi Mama maya duratyaya Mam eva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the 3 moods of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
After explaining how this material mode or material nature consists of matter and the modes that drive it, Krishna says it is very difficult to overcome this because the jiva is very, very tiny and the material world is actually energy of Krishna. Just like you can see if you are dropped in the middle of Pacific Ocean every which way, 5,000 miles away from the shore, it's impossible on your own to swim back. Similarly, this material world is infinitely larger than insignificant Pacific Ocean. So it's impossible for the jiva to go. And here the Lord says, the word prapadyante, or those who surrender unto me, the word surrender begins for the first time here in Gita. Here he says, prapadyante, those who surrender unto me. Here, till now the Lord was saying about how do you say? Bhakti, but here the word surrender begins. Even surrender also, the Lord says, surrender unto me, you will overcome it. But what if you don't want to surrender? Who won't surrender, first thing? And those who like, you know what? I don't want to surrender. I'll worship you, but I'm happy here. So who are those kinds of people? We'll just read that. He once after having given this. Any questions, any comments? All right. Text 15. Namam dushkritino mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha maya pahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha.
Ashuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
So here, how many people don't surrender unto Krishna? Who are those? Atheistic nature of demons. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport extensively about, Muda, who is a category of Muda, who is category of Naradhama, who is category of Maya, Pahrita, Jnana. So Muda is a person who works hard day and night, who has no knowledge of spiritual life. Naradhama is the lowest people of mankind. Maya, Pahrita, Jnana are those kinds of people whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. One of the questions people ask is that why do demons know so much about scriptures and why they still remain demons? Like, Ravan can quote left, right, and center scriptures. So did Hiranyakashipu. He consoled everybody based on the soul. Don't worry, the soul will go and come and go. You shouldn't worry about soul. But I'll make sure my own body remains nicely because I'll ask boons from Brahma. So here, it's said that those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. Even if you have knowledge, but if you don't have the right attitude, then that knowledge can actually mislead you in the wrong direction. A simple example can be, if you know the knowledge of body and soul, then if you are truly like Maya, Pahrita, Jnana, you can use that knowledge to say, I kill somebody, but I'm just killing their body, not the soul. Why are you charging me for killing? I didn't kill anybody. Soul. Soul is eternal. I can't kill it. So the point is you can misuse it and it can doubly have a problem. In Ishopanishad it is said that those who mislead people like this, it's a very dangerous situation. Very, very strong, solid hell awaits. Especially these so-called godmen who cheat people in the name of religion, who mislead them either for their own selfish purposes, then a seriously dark hell awaits those kinds of people. In fact, I don't want to name names, but we had some yogi like this who encouraged completely hedonistic mentality in the name of religion. He came from India and he opened ashrams and, just open lifestyle, and it's very hedonistic way of life. And then I asked Hanumat Prechak Maharaj, I talked to him about this particular person. He said, yeah, he didn't die for a long time because God was preparing a special hell for him. So, yeah, wow. So you have to be very careful. And the last kind is Maya, Pahrita, Jnana and Asurim Bhava, those who partake the atheistic nature of the demons. So, those four kinds of people don't surrender unto Krishna. What kinds of people surrender unto Krishna? Text 16. Chaturvida bhajante mam janah sukritano arjuna artho jignasur artharti jnani cha bharatarshava.
O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Thank you. Let's read a purport a little bit and then we'll go on. Unlike the miscreants, these adherents of regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritinaha, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotional thus. Please repeat after me. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So, here, a couple of things. Are these people who come to the Lord to worship them for some money or for some material motives, does the Lord chastise them or does He praise them? Praise them. Yes, He does praise them. He says, Sukritina, unless you have some pious credits, you can't even approach Krishna. There are so many people in this world who are in need of so many things or having distress. How many people actually approach Krishna? So you should have some pious credit even to approach Krishna. But Krishna says, that's fine. They are actually, pious people that they approach me, even if they come with some material motive. We can, our Sunday feast lecture is based on this particular verse. So we'll go a little bit more depth. If you have the patience to stay, but if not, I completely understand. You must be. It's like, God, when will this Bhakti Sastri get over? Out of these 3, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes that the first 3 are Karma Mishra Bhaktas, means that they are karmis, but they have some bhakti. And then the 4th is the Jnana Mishra Bhakta. I want to know God. Okay, is he Brahman? You approach Krishna and think, is he Brahman? Maybe if he becomes Brahman, I can see him. So the point is that is Jnani, more on the Jnana platform. The others are more on the bodily platform. The other question one might ask is inquisitive, right? What is wrong with being inquisitive? Why is he being lumped into the category of other 3? Artha is somebody who seeks wealth. Artha, somebody seeks wealth. Artharthi, Artha is sick, distress. Thank you. Artha, thank you. Artha is somebody sick. Then Artharthi, Artha means wealth, Arthi means seeking. And then inquisitive. Inquisitive, why is the inquisitive person being lumped? Because people go to God and say, give me education, give me this material knowledge, or give me even the spiritual knowledge, give me power so that I can dazzle people with my spiritual knowledge, can give good lectures. Something like that. The motive is even something for themselves. And the Jnani is more like, okay, it seems he's God, okay, I have no motive to go, but more of not even pure service, but to know more about the Lord. Somebody online had a comment or a question. I hear something. Tap. Okay. Yes.
So the Jnani wouldn't go to the next step, right? So he would, once he has got the knowledge of the Absolute, he would say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to go to the next step of doing devotional service. Would that be a fair statement?
In most cases, yes. Because of the simple fact that unless a Jnani or a perfect person who has attained perfection in Jnani gets the mercy of a devotee, they can't go to the next step. In the case of Shukdev Goswami, his father taught him Srimad Bhagavatam and he got attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the case of 4 Kumaras, it was Lord Shiva who guided them to go and take. So if you get a mercy of a devotee, even from the stage of jnana, you can go. More questions, comments? Can anybody give that gentleman in the back a book so that if he wants to follow? Okay, so should we continue? We have 30 more minutes to go. Okay. Pardon? 17 is done. So 16 is complete, right? So out of these, are all 4 on the same category? No, Krishna says somebody who's text 17. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnanino tyartham aham sa cha mama priyaha.
Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me.
So here Krishna gives an indication that those who come with no motive, they are dear to me. That's a little counterintuitive, right? I mean, why would I go to him if I don't have any motives? I don't get it. So he just wants to see me? Maybe he doesn't have friends. But he has too many friends. Maybe he needs some help. No, he doesn't need any help. Why is Krishna giving so much of importance to this, no bargain, no deal thing? Why is it that he's giving such high importance? Any answers? We'll get to that. We'll get to that as we go ahead. Text 18. Udara sarva evaite jnanitvatmaiva me matam astita sahi yuktatma mamevanuttamam gatyam.
All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and the most perfect goal.
So here, the reason why Krishna emphasizes is that the jiva or the soul is eternally tied with Krishna in spirit of service. And by rendering that service, the jiva finds the highest satisfaction. And so does Krishna satisfy. So that Krishna is also finding satisfaction in that exchange of love. There is no question of any selfish motive involved. So this is actually possible. The reason why Krishna mentions jnani is that those jnanis who have completely beyond material nature can only be on this platform. For example, those who have nothing to do with this material world, they never ask Krishna for money. What will they do with money? The case in point, Shukdev Goswami. He was so exalted and so renounced. Did he actually go to the latest Macy's and get a suit for himself? He didn't have clothes. He didn't have the need to wear clothes. Did he have to go and buy a house in Cupertino for $2 million? He said he was traveling all over. He didn't even have a place of residence. Did he have to have a credit card? He didn't have no clothes means no pocket. Where is the question of keeping a credit card? So he didn't even need anything. So if you are on that stage, can only you approach Krishna with no motive. At that time, you may not have a motive of service for Krishna, but at least you don't approach Krishna with something for me. I need something for me. Yeah. So that's why Krishna says, I'm pleased by those kinds of people. And well, I have problems, I need some money. Well, Krishna will provide that money. It's just a matter of time. If he doesn't provide, don't ask him. If he doesn't provide it, maybe there is a higher purpose on why he doesn't. But one thing is for sure, it's not that he doesn't have money that he can't give you. Krishna has so much of wealth that thousands of Lakshmis serve him. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalaya taksham. Is it the same verse? No. Which is the verse? What's the beginning of that verse? Venum kvanantam. No. Lakshmi sahasra shatasambrama sevya mamam. Anyway, we'll look it up. But the point is, Krishna is being served by thousands of Lakshmis. It is said in Bhagavatam, people in this world are desperate. Ek Lakshmi ji ko, if he can please, we'll get so much of wealth. Now God is being served by thousands of Lakshmis. Can't he give me some wealth? Why does he, why does he not give any wealth at all to me then? Why doesn't he make me a billionaire? You know, billions to choda yaar, at least 10 million, we'll get adjusted. यहाँ तो धक्के खा रहे हैं daily, day in doubt, we are just struggling for like keeping status quo. ये भगवान कुछ अजीब है. But the thing is, to know the answer to that question, if you have the patience, please stay for the class. Yes. No, let me complete that thought. The point here is, the jiva has no affinity to matter. When you are self-realized, you have nothing to do with money. You have nothing to do with power, nothing to do with prestige, nothing to do with family or health. It is, the jiva is so completely independent. In the initial stages of devotion, because we have material wants and needs and we are still in the bodily concept of life, then we get the frustration that, we are doing bhakti and God is not giving. But the God is providing in His own way. We can't see at that point of time. But when we advance in jnana, then we realize we have nothing to do with this matter. I don't need to ask God anything. Now what is further? What is about God that is so attractive then? That is a further stage of spiritual advancement. But please do not worry, we don't have to become jnanis to approach God. The bhakti is so powerful that you don't have to do any other process. You can approach Krishna directly through bhakti. Yes, you had a question. You had a question, sorry.
So Prabhuji, without asking, Krishna, like there are some stories, there are some true stories in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Like Gajendra Moksham. Like he literally cried out for help and he asked for Sharanagati and all that, right? So isn't that asking the Lord?
Good question.
Should we ask, or does the Lord really, should we wait for the Lord to give everything that we need?
No. It's an excellent question. Probably in Nectar of Devotion, when we do Anyavilashita verse, Anyavilashita Shunyam verse, we understand the fact that when this body is used in service of Krishna, in the advanced stages of devotion, when you don't make a difference between matter and spirit, you see that this body is being used in service of Krishna, and it is Krishna's, not mine. So anything that has to do with Krishna, to ask Him is not at fault or not being in pure devotional service. I'll tell the example. The gopis of Vrindavan, they used to decorate their bodies and they used to decorate themselves well when they would go and meet Krishna. And one might think that is actually bodily consciousness, because you are giving emphasis so much on decorating your body. But the reason behind the decoration of their body was, it was not for their own egoistic satisfaction. They understood that by seeing them well decorated, Krishna would be happy. But for sake of Krishna, they would do that. So in the advanced stages of devotion, when we realize that everything is being used for service of Krishna, asking in a very extreme and an awkward and a dangerous state is not against the principles of pure devotion. But asking Krishna as an order carrier, that is against the principles of pure devotion. So if you have nothing, because Krishna will understand. Krishna knows everything that's going in the heart. And when he says, I carry to my devotee that whatever he or she lacks, and I'll protect whatever he or she has, will he not do that? He will do that. It's just he wants to see your attitude. Sudama, he went to Krishna. Now, should I tell the story in brief, or everybody knows the story? Everybody knows the story, so I won't tell in brief. Did he go and ask Krishna, you know what, please, I need some money. I'm suffering right now. Then, did he get something from Krishna? Did Krishna not know? Of course he knew. So, Krishna will never let his devotee perish, but how he maintains his devotee is up to him. That is where the surrender comes. That is where the faith comes. The moment we say, you know what, Lord, that's not what I wanted. You gave me something else, I wanted something else. That's not pure devotion. But having said that, on the process, if we continue our sadhana, if we continue on the process, it will come. Eventually it will come. Eventually, the beauty of Krishna, the grace of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna attract the mind so much that everything else seems pale, meaningless. Even to ask Krishna seems just a mockery. It's like you are disgusted. To the point even liberation. Forget all these material things. Even to ask for liberation, you just say, Krishna, whatever you want with me, I'm ready. You want me to continue in this material world? Because he can give liberation in a fraction of a second. The devotees have no liberation. I don't even want liberation. If you want me to be staying in this material world, I'll stay in this material world. But there are some prayers, some qualifications. You don't say to Krishna, stay me in the material, he'll say, okay, stay in the material world. But there are some caveats when you ask. There are caveats. So, in Shamalangi Mataji will attest to the fact that we are memorizing one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the later chapters. But the verse is Maharaj Parikshit, he is about to die. He's on the bank of Ganges. He has seen Krishna. It's not like he's topmost of the devotees. And he has given up everything. He has no attachment to anything. He had a youthful wife, family, children. He had a vast kingdom with no re-elections looming across. Nothing. He had everything, but he gave up. And then, what did he ask? He says, only thing he asks is, O Lord, if you want me to be again in this material world, let me be there in a position where there is attachment to you and to your devotees, and may I have friendly living entities with everybody. That's all I ask. I don't want to ask anything else. He didn't say, Pura le liya, you take everything away from me. No, at least give me liberation. I didn't do anything wrong. For some small mistake, that boy cursed me, and now, I'm sitting here, nothing. This is very cruel. God is cruel. At least he should give me liberation. Kuch to do. He didn't say that. He said, Lord, wherever you want to put me, that's fine. It's your choice. Again in this material world, you want to create me somewhere, that's fine. But please, this is what I ask. I may be constantly hearing your glories. I may take shelter of your devotees and have friendly living entities with everybody. So, because it doesn't matter. You are here, there, every which where. It is just it is just that remembrance of Krishna just fills your heart to such an extent. There is nothing more needed to that. And we are not yet there. 7th chapter, we are slowly inching towards, because the whole idea of Jiva coming out from this conception of body and now who's God, how to approach him, what should I ask him, everything is slowly evolving right now. It's Bhagavad Gita slowly goes. Otherwise, why should Krishna speak 18 chapters? Right, Shveka? If he had done with the 2 chapters, only 2 chapters for Bhakti Sastri exam, nice. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. All right. Should we continue? Text 19, page 347. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlavaha. Please read.
After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
So here Krishna says that it's not one-time thing to surrender to Krishna. If you go to somebody and say surrender to Krishna, they'll say you're crazy. What are you talking about? So it takes time. It takes knowledge. Who Krishna is? Why should I surrender? Is he worth surrendering? What is the deal here? So he says after many births, really truly those who are fortunate surrender to Krishna. And that surrender is like total. That's it. Whatever you do with me, that's fine with me. I'm just yours. Whatever comes, I'm ready. But please understand, the Lord can test you only to the extent you can take. So don't worry. If you freely surrender to Krishna, it's a happy thing to do. Even if you don't know what it is, do it. Text 20. Kamaistairhritagnyana prapadyante nyadevataha tam niyamamastaya prakritya niyatasvaya.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures.
So here, what is the word Krishna uses? Does he use worship or does he use the word surrender to demigods? Surrender unto demigods. There is a difference there. The point here is, worshipping demigods in of itself is not, wrong. But surrendering onto demigods, thinking that they can do what Krishna can't do, that is false. That's wrong. Here, that's why he says, Hritagyana, those whose intelligence has been stolen, they surrender to demigods. So surrender is a word which is exclusively applicable only to Krishna. Because he is a true object of surrender. But when we surrender onto demigods, then Krishna says that not the best of the ideas. Why? And then he says, if you want to actually surrender, I won't stop you. And we'll see why. What does he say in that regard? Yes, I would rather wait just for one more question and then we can take it. Because, okay, okay, go ahead. Maybe the question will come ahead. Go ahead.
So, the question is, demigods like Lord Shiva, there are devotees of Lord Shiva, and who worship him like he is the supreme. But Lord Shiva himself worships Lord Vishnu. So, isn't it not realized upon the devotees of Shiva that ultimately it is leading to Vishnu? So, and if Lord Shiva is also worshipping Lord Vishnu, then we should also worship Lord Vishnu.
I wish they had the same intelligence as you. But it's clearly, Krishna says, Hritagyana, those whose intelligence has been stolen by lust, they worship demigods. So that intelligence is not, that realization is not yet there. But the hope is that the demigods have two kinds of mercy. One is the cheating mercy, one is the actual mercy. For the demons, they give them cheating mercy. For those who are innocent devotees, they guide them to go back to Vishnu. So we can only hope and pray that they become so intelligent as to take the right directions. At least they should be intelligent like Narada. In 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, Narada goes to Brahma. He says, "Oh Brahma, I see you are the supreme master of this whole universe. But you are meditating on somebody. Who is it that you are meditating on? Who is greater than you?" And then Narada and Brahmaji tells about, at least if they can inquire in that line. Yes. Text 21 on page 350. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhayarchitam ichchati tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadamyaham.
I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
That seems a little counterintuitive. Why should God make my faith strong so that I can worship somebody else? And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's independence. The jiva, God never interferes with jiva's independence. Because one of the things people say is, if God knows that this material world is so bad, why doesn't He take me out right now? He doesn't interfere with your independence. Text 22 on page 351. Oh, we did that? No. Sataya shraddhaya yuktas tasyaradhanamihate labate cha tatha kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan.
Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone.
There we go. Text 23. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Men whose small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet.
So here, you had a question?
Gods, couldn't he have just done it all himself? What was the point of creating them if he did the work?
Well, the demigods are also worshippers of Lord Vishnu. And the reason he created is to maintain the material world. I mean, just like in your school, why did they hire more teachers? Why didn't the principal do all by himself or herself? Teach all the classes together. God is different. I understand God is not like your principal. But he creates this material world and he creates various posts and he gives the demigods their positions and powers to do it. Otherwise, why would he need to do himself? There are many of his... God is just not by himself. He has a lot of secretaries and servants whom he can employ in his service. And they want to be employed in God's service like that. The demigods also have that desire, so the Lord fulfills that desire. Makes sense?
So do the demigods know that the Lord is doing their job?
Yeah, so here is how they know it. When the devotee approaches a demigod, they implicitly get permission from the Lord to give that, they get that power from the Lord to benefit that devotee. Without the Lord giving them the power, you cannot. Another example I'll give you. So, for example, there is an ambassador of the president, and he is going to go do some important things, and he gives a letter. So, does that letter carry the power of president or not? Why should the president do everything by himself? He has so many people who is there to do for him. So the Lord is also like, he's independent. He has so many people who can be employed in his service, and the demigods do that. But eventually, all their boss is Lord Vishnu, and under his directions, everybody does it out of fear. It is said in Bhagavatam, the wind, the sun, everything out of fear, they just do their work, make sure that they work correctly. It is just the way the Lord created. Why did He create? It's up to Him. He can do it by Himself, as you said. There's no doubt about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Why out of fear? Why not out of love for the Supreme Lord? As it mentioned in the Shastras.
Yeah. It's there in 3rd canto, 28th or 29th chapter, I don't remember which one. Lord Kapila says to Devahuti that out of fear of me, the sun blows, the wind blows. The point here is that the Lord has two forms. One form is that of Krishna in Vrindavan, where it is all sweetness. The other is Vaikuntha, where it is all boss and strict. The work needs to be done. And besides, the other thing is the demigods, they don't want to displease Lord Vishnu under any circumstances, because their whole life depends on Lord Vishnu. I mean, you go to work, really, and you work for the boss out of a little bit fear. It's a different situation than, for example, dealing with a friend. The relationship is different between demigods and Lord Vishnu. But having said that, there is definitely, of course, affection, but there is that internal thing that Lord Vishnu is the boss. Kind of a director. Yeah, he's the boss. So, because they have good relationship. It's not like they see Lord Vishnu and they hide behind a pillar or something like that. It's not like that boss kind of thing. He's the most gentle, most benevolent person, but because of his Vishnu form, he inspires fear amongst the demigods to do the work of maintaining stuff correctly. That fear is also partially out of their own desire to preserve themselves, because demigods, they are sakam karmis, means that they worship Lord for material benefits. And this, because they have to keep up everything, every other time, the demons come take away their kingdom, who will they go to? So it's better I maintain good relationship with Lord Vishnu, because ultimately He is the one who is going to help me. So it's more on that angle. Fear is not like purely out of fear, like some villain or something like that, or not like that.
Could that also be, Prabhu, that fear of losing their position?
Yes.
To serve Krishna.
Yes.
I mean, they are serving Krishna. If they don't do it properly, they may lose it.
Most of the times, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they use Lord Vishnu to get their kingdom. It is said in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's mentioned different planetary systems, and Bali Maharaj is in the nether worlds. He is worshipping Lord Vamandev, and Lord Vamana, Indra goes to him and he says, you know what, Bali took away my kingdom, please, go and get the kingdom back. And then Vamandev comes to Bali at that time, and as we know the story of how he asked for 3 pieces of land, and how Bali Maharaj just surrenders everything, including himself. And then Lord Vamana becomes his doorkeeper out of affection. Bali says, look at Indra. He used the Lord for his own kingdom, whereas I gave up everything of mine to satisfy the Lord, and I am the winner. Indra is the loser. That question, there have been instances where the demigods are more into their own thing rather than... Anyways.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Here is said, my devotee ultimately reach my supreme planet. That supreme planets mean the Vaikuntha Dham or Golok Vrindavan Dham?
Depends on the sadhana platform. For the Vaidhi sadhana, if you get perfection, then you go to Vaikuntha. But if you go on Raganuga platform, then you go to Vrindavan. So, and then the other thing will be your Ishtadev. Your Ishtadev is Lord Ram, then you go to Ayodhya planets. If your Ishtadev is Narasimhadev, you go somewhere else. So there are so many permutations and combinations.
So that actually means whoever worships Krishna, they will go back to Golok Vrindavan Dham?
Yes, only in spontaneous attachment, yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Should we continue? Yes, sir. All right. .354. Here Krishna, the other point Krishna says is that the demigods, you approach demigods, you ask them for some results, the demigods give you result, but they are very temporary. Why is it? Because the demigods themselves are temporary. What can they give you permanent results? But when Krishna gives you, then it's a little more permanent. Text 24. Avyaktim vyaktimapannam Manyante mam abuddhaya param bhavam ajananto mam avyayam manuttamam.
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
So here again, Krishna gives the first time his personal form, Vyaktim. He says, I am a person. It's not I am Avyaktim. Avyaktim means impersonal. But Krishna says that only foolish people think like that. That I had no personality, now I have come, I have a personality, and after I leave I have no personality. Krishna talks about his personal feature. Text 25. Because the question will come up though, if Krishna has personality, and if Krishna is a person, then when he comes to this material world, it's an interesting question. How can people see Krishna? I have material eyes, I can see only matter, but when Krishna came, people could see Krishna, means he is matter. Simple logic. That thus, Krishna is having a material body. Logical or not logical? Logical, right? Then what is the answer to that question? 25th verse. Text 25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha mudoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam.
I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency.
So here, when you seeing Krishna, the point is unless, and Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that not everybody could understand that Krishna was God. Even though they could see him, they could still not understand him. So when he comes to this material world and it displays his pastimes, when you say knowing Krishna or seeing Krishna means understanding Krishna as he is. That very hardly few people can do it. He says, my Yoga Maya covers.
And therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There are a few questions. We can probably take it at some other time, like what is Yoga Maya, what is Mahamaya, why only Yoga Maya covers. If you are interested, then we can have a conversation on this. But for now, it's Yoga Maya, which covers Krishna. Even in Queen Kunti's prayers, there is a verse, Maya Javanika Achanam Agnyadokshajam Avyayam. He says that you are covered by your Maya potency, just like an actor on a stage. He wears nice costumes and completely nobody can recognize. You are just like that person. So, text 26. The other thing, so if Krishna comes here, he sees things, and after he's gone, he doesn't see things. He doesn't know what's going on. 26. Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani charjuna Bhavishyani cha bhutani Mam tu vedana kaschana.
O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows.
Thank you. This is like, there is a video camera somewhere. Okay, we have all these video cameras. We may do something knowing nobody knows, but the video camera is capturing everything. So the point is, Krishna is pervading everything, so he knows everything that's going on. On a very advanced levels, sometimes he doesn't know what's going on. I qualify that, but that is beyond the scope of Bhagavad Gita. Probably on a higher level we can talk about that. Because there have been instances which appears that Krishna is not in control. Krishna doesn't know what's going on. Those are for some other times. I'll tell you a case in point and then we'll stop at that. So Krishna and his friends, they were going to Vrindavan. They used to pasture, they used to go on pasturing grounds. And one day they saw a cave. And the boy said, hey, there's a cave I have never seen before, let's go explore. And we know that cave was Aghasura. So, and before Krishna could realize, all the boys had actually entered the cave. Krishna became momentarily aggrieved. Oh my God, I lost all my friends. I don't know what to do now. Maybe he was thinking what to do. When we hear phrases like this, then we think, really, God knows everything? If He knows everything, that's a topic for some other time. But that is on a different level, and that is more sweet.
You mentioned it appears, so it's not always true, right? When we say appears, it's not in control of.
Right. But the reason is sometimes he's not, and that happens in Vrindavan, mainly in Vrindavan. The reason is the devotee is there, the Lord is there, and Yogamaya is there. Yogamaya has an upper power than Lord in Vrindavan. And she makes so many wonderful arrangements for Krishna so that the Lord also completely forgets that he is this Vedaham Samatitani. He is so absorbed in pastimes of Vrindavan, he is so going with the flow that to even think or consider for your own self that I am Lord Vishnu, it just doesn't fit in rasa with Vrindavan. So he also goes along with the pastimes, just like ordinary. That is the heart of the Lord. He does all these things, creating, killing demons, maintaining universes. That is all his side jobs. And they keep on going. But his whole heart is in Vrindavan, where he just plays with his friends, completely forgets that he is the Lord. And Yogamaya just does all these things. Yogamaya is under his control, but it gets an upper hand in Vrindavan, making Lord experience all these emotions. Because if the Lord is always in control at all times, the emotion of separation, the heightened emotions of ecstasy, when the boys entered into the Aghasura demon, would it be possible? Forget, actually, if that is the case, if Lord wanted to exercise control, could Aghasura come to Vrindavan? So the whole pastime wouldn't happen. So there is a pastime that happens in Vrindavan that actually makes the Lord also forget. And he also not in control. Just to increase the ecstasies of emotions. And it's a whole rasa, and it's a rasa tattva, and it's on a very different level than what Bhagavad Gita speaks. So that is another reason sometimes it is mentioned that Bhagavad Gita is ABCD. Please understand, ABC doesn't mean that we can skip it and directly enter into, Vrindavan pastimes without even knowing what is there in Bhagavad Gita. Because this is the foundation. Without knowing this, one can never actually enter into the pastimes of Vrindavan in a meaningful way. Either you will mistake those pastimes, or more dangerously you will imitate those pastimes, or more dangerously you think God is just like an ordinary person like you and me. So it takes a while to get into those pastimes. But the reason being, the Vedaham Samatitani, sometimes, when you read those pastimes, then don't get confused. God says He knows everything. Here He is like, He doesn't know. Yes, Balram?
What do you mean by Bhagavad Gita?
There are. Are you doing ABCs now? No, right? You are writing essays, you are reading books, and you are like learning advanced concepts, right? But you start with ABC, right? If you don't know ABC. So our spiritual life, we have a goal, but Bhagavad Gita is like the basic. And it builds on this. But without knowing this, then you can never understand. Bhagavatam builds on Bhagavad Gita, but without knowing Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult to understand Bhagavatam. So that's why it is said, Srila Prabhupada himself said, these are not my words, please don't beat me up. I love Bhagavad Gita, please save me. No, but the Lord himself says that, Prabhupada himself says that it's a ABCD, but ABC are the basics of spiritual life is mentioned here. More questions, comments? Oh, we are a little over past time, so we'll quickly go through those and we can take, because the devotees will wait. Hare Krishna, Kankamataji.
Hare Krishna.
Let's, which page? Somebody help me, please. Thank you. 358. Text 27. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. Balram, you want to read one verse? Or okay, just give me. And keep the mics ready so that the next person can read immediately.
O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate.
Thank you. Text 28. Esham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
Thank you. Text 29. Jara marana mokshaya mam ashritya yatantiye te brahma tadvido kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakilam.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman. Because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Thank you. Text 30 on page 362. Sadibhutadi daivam mam sadiyajñam cha ye viduhu prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha.
Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and of all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death.
So after explaining himself in the last 4 verses, the Lord shifts the focus on the conditioned soul, where he says that the conditioned soul is born into delusion, and how those seeking freedom from birth and death, they take shelter on me. And then he says in the last verse that those who know me to be the Adi Daiva and the Adi Bhuta and Adi Yajna, and he gives so many verses, so many phrases. And those who know me at the time of death, they can come back to me. Now the next chapter, Arjuna asks those questions. What is Adi Yajna? What is Adi Deva? Who is Adi Bhuta? And there are so many questions he asks, which we'll cover in the 8th chapter. Okay? Sorry it went a little over late. And for those who just joined, please forgive me. We were doing the Bhakti Sastri class. And we'll start the Sunday Feast lecture in exactly about 2 minutes, I promise.